Every day on this channel, I go through everything Elon said on X in the last 24 hours. And here's how many times Elon posted about each subject today. I'll cover everything he said about each topic before moving on to the next one. And starting with Tesla, Elon quoted this post from Tesla Optimus, and that account was quoting the main Tesla account sharing a new video of Tesla Optimus reminding us of the shareholder meeting in November. The majority of the video is Optimus talking to us like this.
November 6th, we'll hold our annual shareholders meeting.
But I cut the audio just because I can't play that music. So what I'm going to do is just show you guys the action moments, the new shots we saw of Optimus. The first is Optimus handing a tool to this engineer. Pretty standard. He just takes the tool slowly out of Optimus's hand. Now in the next shot, we have Optimus scrolling on an iPad. He's also got a hot dog in his other hand. And you can see on the iPad that he's actually interacting with it. He's making the iPad actually scroll. So it's cool to see the touch screen pick up Optimus's finger and know that they can manipulate our Apple devices. And in the next clip, we have Optimus pulling a piece of paper out of an envelope. This is definitely not something that's easy for a robot to do. You have to put a certain amount of pressure on the envelope to actually keep it in your hand without keeping the paper inside of the envelope when you go to pull it out. But you can see that Tesla made it easier for Optimus by leaving the piece of paper halfway already out of the envelope so that it's able to grab it easily. And then I'm playing this at quarter speed already off the bat, but we have Optimus pointing the camera on an iPhone towards a QR code. And I mean, what an unbelievably good shot of the arm. Of course, this is version 2 of Optimus, but I would still love to hear Scott Walter's thoughts after getting such a close-up on the arm right here. And of course, Optimus is going to have a computer inside of it, but just the idea that it could do useful things on our phones, that's just another idea, another lane of productivity that Optimus could be useful in. And this is jokes. I mean, Optimus is in the sauna, checking the phone, probably checking to see if he can vote for the shareholder meeting. And there is Optimus handing a milkshake to a customer. And then finally, we got a pretty good shot of Optimus version 2.5. I'll pause the video and draw attention to the new hands that we see here. They look like they're covered up by some kind of glove. And sort of the shoulder and the elbow also look different from version 2. But that was all the action shots that we saw in that video. And Sawyer said the future is going to be wild, and Elon reposted this. And Jason DeBolt quoted that video saying, "Tesla shareholders, please vote now if you haven't already. It's incredibly important. Please vote with the Tesla board's recommendations." And so Elon reposted that, and he also reposted Tesla North America, saying every Tesla you buy in the US is designed, engineered, and made right here in America. And I did not know that Sawyer was a twin, but tonight he was at his twin's wedding. And he said he gave several guests a ride in his Model Y using FSD. It was their first time ever experiencing it, and they were blown away by it. Most had no idea the technology was already this capable. So many people still have no clue what's about to happen. And Elon reposted this. But I think OpenAI is well aware of what's about to happen. They now have a $100 billion investment from NVIDIA. And as of today, up to 10% ownership in AMD, $500 billion Stargate investment, and a $500 billion valuation. But how is OpenAI still owned by a non-profit parent company? Elon says, good question. And in this rapidly expanding AI world, many industries are being disrupted. Check out this $40,000 a year school where AI shapes every lesson without teachers. Chubby says this is literally the future. Students spend only 2 hours in the morning on science, math, and reading, working at their own speed using personalized AI-driven software. Adults in the classroom are called guides, not teachers, and earn six-figure salaries. Their job is to encourage and motivate, and it's coming faster than you might think. Vittorio says the fact that kids attending AI schools rank in the top 1% of standardized tests with only 2 hours of learning per day is proof that traditional schools were never about learning, just compliance. And Elon says 100. But the more we see things scale, the more we often wonder whether or not we are prompts, whether we are in a simulation. This XAI employee says, change my mind. I'm not in simulation. I'm not a prompt. Elon says we are all a prompt. And Alps wants to ask a dumb question. What is the universe contained in? And Elon says it's in a computer. God is vibe coding right now. But seriously, as AI gets better and better, what will be the boundary between imagination and reality? Because Elon says that AI videos will be pixel perfect. Grok Imagine is already generating realistic movie scenes. It's absolutely mind-blowing. And Elon says that Grok will make a movie that is at least watchable before the end of next year and really good movies in 2027. Doge Designer says video games will be dynamically generated by Grok in the future. And Elon said the XAI game studio will release a great AI generated game before the end of next year. And you can't just generate movies out of thin air, you need compute, and Elon is gambling billions in Memphis to catch up on AI. In just 1 year, XAI has become the second largest taxpayer in Memphis and in the county, right after FedEx. The company has also donated funds to Memphis schools and other organizations and hired workers to go around the city and pick up trash. Finishing Colossus 2 will cost tens of billions of dollars. Some AI and data center experts say the NVIDIA chips alone cost a fortune. Musk will need to spend at least $18 billion for the roughly 300,000 more chips he needs to complete the Memphis project. And Musk said in July that Colossus 2 will have a total of 550,000 chips, and has separately signaled it could eventually have 1 million processing units. The speed at which XAI is doing all of this is incredible, and Elon reposted this. And Elon continues to hype XAI's Microsoft competitor Macro hard, attaching a photo reading, "We do this not because it is easy, but because we thought it would be easy." And Viv says the people demand Macro hard merchandise, and I'm people. And Elon said, let's do it. And just when you thought XAI was doing enough, the first version, the early beta of Grokipedia, a Wikipedia competitor, will be published in 2 weeks. Brian says the reputation assassins of Wikipedia will no longer hold hostage the vindictive profiles of notable individuals. Grok will weigh the honesty of a person's life work. Any AI that uses Wikipedia will instantly become worthless compared to Grokipedia. A liberation ahead. And Elon reposted this. I would just love to see Elon's calendar, because on top of the Grokipedia launch, you also have Starship Flight 11 launching in 7 days. And Fermat's library shares why super Earthlings might never reach the stars. Look at all of this complicated math. And in that complicated math, the fuel required to reach orbit grows exponentially with gravity. And if Earth's gravity were 15% stronger, space programs would likely be impossible. So Elon said Earth's gravity is strong enough to make reaching Mars extremely hard, but not impossible. And speaking of things that are extremely hard, but not impossible, Grum says vast swaths of our population have been reprogrammed, educated in belief systems that are self-destructive. It will take some time to undo the damage, but we have to try. And Elon says true. Peter Sweden says we need a return to sanity. The left calls it far right because their goal is to destroy Western civilization. He says, here's the strategy of the left. They hate Western civilization and want to destroy it and build back better. They use language to control you so that they can implement their agenda unhindered. Anything they don't like is labeled far right to scare you into submission. And Elon said, true. And they don't like English people very much. In their heads, English people simultaneously do not exist and are responsible for all historical injustices. Sir James Britton says, this is us. We are the English. And Elon has a laugh at that one. And the power of their narratives led Mel Jeffries to receive gender-affirming care. She said she bound her breasts daily from 18 to 25. 8 years ago today, her breasts were removed. She said, I can never get back what I have lost from going down the path of medicalization. Gender-affirming care didn't save my life, it ruined it. And Elon reposted this. And Bad Bunny says, learn Spanish if you want to understand my Super Bowl halftime show. Lauren says Latin America speaks Spanish because they were colonized by Spain in such totality that the native languages died out for the most part. Spanish turning into an anti-colonialist message is truly the work of retards. And Elon says, seriously. And speaking of retards, here's some friends firing fireworks at each other dressed in a full knight's armor. And Elon reposted this. And this lawyer says, Your Honor, my client is too retarded to understand that shooting someone is bad. So the judge says, good point. Put him back into the public. Carl says this is not even an exaggeration, and Elon says it's actually happening every day. And news broke today that a federal judge blocked Trump's effort to deploy the National Guard troops to Portland in a late-night decision, ruling it unlawful and unconstitutional. Matt Walsh says we have long reached the point where Trump needs to openly defy these judges. Some random federal judge has no authority to decide how and if troops are deployed. She is not the commander-in-chief. Ignore her and deploy them. It's time for a showdown with these activist judges. Elon says it is high time that corrupt judges who violate the Constitution be fired. The El Salvadorian president Nayib Bukele suggests it's time for the United States to impeach corrupt judges. Elon says it has to be done. And a lot of the rage with judges goes back to them continuously releasing criminals back onto the streets. But this is how Democrats keep crime data down.
Did you see the recent news out of the DC Police Department? The police commander, Michael Pulliam, was placed on leave because it was discovered that he and the department directed officers to downgrade felony reports and alter crime classifications, on things like felony assault to deliberately manipulate the data and show improvements in crime last year, just before the election. Their manipulated stats showed a 26% drop in violent crime. Oops, wasn't true. It is interesting, though, that his charges came just after he filed a complaint against the executive assistant chief of police, Andre Wright. I think all of this was happening on his watch. No accountability there. Someone's crooked. Maybe all of them. And maybe someone's just making sure no officer ever tells on them again.
Elon said, wow. And these brothers who killed Ethan Liming, they stomped on his chest and broke his neck and took his car at LeBron James' school, were sentenced to only 6 months and 18 months each, and Elon said, sadness. And imagine your school hiring a 210-pound transgender bus driver who calls himself Miss Sharon, who begins raping your 14-year-old son and his friends in exchange for money. That's exactly what the Sugar Creek School did in North Carolina when they hired Lee Twain Daryl Tate as a bus driver. And Elon responded with 2 exclamation marks. The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, said diversity is not your strength. Your strength is your unity of purpose, your shared mission, your love of country. And Elon quoted that with some flames. And if you guys remember the story from yesterday of Jay Jones inciting violence on his political competition in private messages, after all that came out, he's still not lost a single endorsement. Let that sink in, and Elon says, wow. And he says wow again when the University of Maryland president and past head of the Association of State Colleges and Universities turns out to be a massive plagiarist. Her PhD dissertation on using computers in pharmacy education is on the left, written in 1986. And she just took someone's paper on computers in nursing education and changed the field. That paper's on the right from 1984. Elon said, wow.
Well, I wasn't far off, was I?
Afternoon, sir. Can I see your digital ID, please?
Oh, that's rich. I write the warning and you make it the rule.
George Orwell in 2025. And censorship in London is not the only thing that the citizens have to worry about. Also, crime and immigration is getting out of control. A liberal man that voted for Biden and Kamala says he's now a Trump supporter after visiting London. Here's the percentage of the London borough, which is white British and Irish by census year. In 1961, it was 94%. Fast forward to 2021, and it dropped to 44%. Ava says there's no reality where any part of Britain should be minority British. But for the capital city, a paragon of history and culture in the UK, to be majority non-British is an insult to the history and people of this country. And Elon reposted that. Landour said England is about 65% English. A lot of those are older. At what point is England not even England? Elon said a country is its people, not its land. If the people are gone, the country is destroyed. And Lauren quoted the same chart saying 96% English to 15% English in 65 years. Is there a term to describe this? And Elon said invasion. And here's Douglas Murray's thoughts on the matter.
I do not want to live in a country with Hamas supporters. I want them deported. I want them chucked out. Simple. And I will do everything I can to ensure that happens. I am fed up, by the way, of the centrist dad hand-wringing era, where people say, oh, but might it be against our liberal values? And might our liberalism... I'm not as interested in that as I am in Britain remaining Britain. I am much more interested in that. At every time of national emergency in our nation's history, we gave something up to survive. We did in the Napoleonic Wars, we did in the wars of the 20th century, and we will have to now. This is the thing we give up. Extending tolerance to people who do not extend it back to us. It should be over, that era.
Fa said, mic drop. It's as simple as that. And Elon said, precisely. And Tommy Robinson is a man who is fighting for change in Britain, and he supports Advance UK, but the Jewish Leadership Council says Tommy Robinson is a thug who represents the very worst of Britain. His presence undermines those genuinely working to tackle Islamist extremism and foster community cohesion. Minister Chickley has proven himself to be a diaspora minister in name only. In our darkest hour, he has ignored the views of the vast majority of British Jews, who utterly and consistently reject Robinson and everything he stands for. Ido says, I'm Jewish and you don't represent me. The Jewish people love Tommy Robinson. And Elon responded with a heart. Avi says it's now undeniable. Most of the Jewish community sees through the smears against Tommy Robinson. The majority back him, and the tiny minority still pretending to speak for Jews while demonizing him are being drowned out by reality. And Elon reposted that. Even in Germany, the right-wing AfD party is #1 in yet another poll, and Elon reposted this as well. All across Europe, it's clear that voters are rejecting the woke open borders agenda. The right-wing party is leading in the Netherlands. The right-wing party just won in the Czech Republic. It's not far right, it's a return to sanity. Is the Washington Post returning to sanity? Con Carroll says this is an amazing sentence to see in a Washington Post editorial. I am truly impressed. They said the real problem is that the Affordable Care Act was never actually affordable. Elon said any given piece of legislation will tend to be the opposite of its name. The name is there to trick people into supporting it. Unfortunately, propaganda works.
I'm doing research. Just grok it.
Engineering AI says every single time I just grok it. And Elon likes that one. And Grok is getting a major update to Imagine. It jumps from version 0.1 to version 0.9. This XAI employee says it's been really fun to work with the team to train this model. And this one says that the team has been working real hard. This was Ethan's first project at XAI and he's super proud. Elon says that Imagine is improving super fast, so I'll now do a slideshow of all the Imagine creations that Elon reposted today. And you know, we've reached that part of the timeline where the richest man on Earth cosplays as his own final form, in a spacesuit, on a dead planet he might have already bought. This isn't branding, it's a prophecy. That's not a cigar, that's a data pipe. He's not blowing smoke, he's uploading a backup of himself to the red sand. Every frame of this video feels like the universe dared him to post it, and he whispered, bet. You thought he was building cars, he was building lore. You thought he was memeing, he was soft launching Mars 1. The simulation ran out of plotline, so it just gave Elon the expansion pack and let him become the DLC boss in a solar-powered battlesuit. This isn't Teslanomics. This is the season finale of Earth, and he brought snacks. And Elon has a laugh at that one. And Japan's new prime minister was literally Misato when she was young. And Elon responded to this with some flames. So, that's everything that Elon said today. It's always great to see new footage of the Tesla Optimus bot. And I'm not going to lie, it's going to be cool to continue to see upgrades to Grok Imagine, even though we all still have PTSD from when he spammed Grok Imagine for like 2 weeks straight. He talked more about the penetration of London. It kind of reminds me of Dracula. But today is Monday, and today was supposed to be the day that V14 was released. It's currently 4:30 p.m. PST. It hasn't come out yet. Oh, no way. It just dropped. It's here. Here's the software notes. FSD V14 upgrades every part of the overconfident driving network. It now rolls through stop signs respectfully. The vehicle now apologizes after phantom braking. Highway merges are 87% sassier. And an improved horn. It now plays lo-fi beats when it's angry. And dang, we're still waiting on the ability to recognize your ex's car and take alternate routes. I really thought they would have this one in V14. But shout out to Omar because that was absolutely diabolical. And as always guys, if you want early access to these videos or you just want to support the channel, you can do so by joining the channel as a member. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.